And we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. We just said good morning and it's not. It's good afternoon. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for a Shelf Help Club Author Live. We're sitting here with our bright, lovely books. Today, I'm talking to the awesome Lauren Currie, OBE, who is the founder of UPFRONT, an organisation on a mission to change confidence, visibility and power for 10 million women, which is an excellent, bold statement, and also the author of this bold new book. And Lauren wants to talk to us about confidence. Lauren believes anyone can be made confident or learn to be confident. So I feel like this is like going to be speaking to our community. So thank you for being here today. Drop any questions if you can in the chat. Lauren, so lovely to see you. Congratulations on the book, baby.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. This is my very first Substack Live. So I am super excited to have this conversation with you, Tony, and to meet your community.
Well, we're happy to have you here. And also, I mentioned just before we went live that we have some Substacky and authory friends in common. So Bree Groff, who was the author of our book at the moment, Today Was Fun, talking about how work is fun last year, she said to me, you have to talk to Lauren. And then also Amy McNee, who we recently had online because she has just released her book about I don't want a job. I don't want a job. So tell us how you know those guys, and then we'll dive into the book.
Yeah, so Bree and I met through the business that I used to run before UPFRONT, which was where I was the MD of the London office of a US company, and Bree was the MD of the New York office. We were called Nobel, and we were all about bringing organizational design support to organizations. And since Bree wrote her book, we have done a couple of webinars around when you bring confidence and fun together, your work is better. So I'm just a big cheerleader of Bree and her book and all of the work that she's doing. And Amy McNee, I mean, I'm sure like many of you, I've followed Amy for a long time. Her voice has been a real source of inspiration and grounding for me. And I decided to be a really brave girl and send her an email and ask her to endorse my book, thinking she's probably not even going to answer me. And she did answer me, and now her endorsement is on the back of the book. And she says, Lauren Currie shows us how to unlearn the rules that keep us small, how to write our own rules that set us free. And every page of this book is an invitation to take up space. And then shortly after that, it turned out we were both in Barcelona for like one night only at the same time. So I got to meet her in person, gave her a copy of my children's book for her niece. And then we've kind of kept in touch since then. And she said yes to hosting the online book launch for Be Upfront. And I got an email this morning to say that my copy of I Don't Want a Job has arrived at my parents' house in the UK. So I'm really excited to get my hands on her new book.
That's brilliant. I love this. I love both of those kind of connections and stories, because I love the idea that Substack and just this place can be like a collaborative space. We're not all in competition with each other. It's so nice, isn't it, to be able to be introduced to people and to cheerlead and support people. But I also love the fact, Lauren, that you practice what you preach, and you like you said, you were brave and you did ask the question and you faced the rejection, but you got more than you wanted, which is like brilliant.
Yeah, totally. I'm always doing scary things. That's like my MO.
Yeah. Well, tell us about, so we talked a little bit about your organisation in the intro, but talk to me about a day in your life. What does it look like now that you're not writing a book anymore because it's out in the world? How do you spend your time?
Yes. So a day in my life. So I live in Sweden, which is interesting because I guess most of my community is based in the UK. I left London for Sweden 5 years ago, and I live here with my partner and my son and my Labradoodle and my Siberian forest cat. And every morning I start my day with my son. I'm the one that takes him to school and we make breakfast together. We have a new ritual of playing cards in the morning together. And then when I come back from school drop off, I step into my work, which is being the CEO of UPFRONT. And that can look like writing, speaking, working with organizations, building proposals, writing copy, everything in between. I guess I always try to build a day that still feels conducive to being a human being. So I always have a big walk at lunchtime. I don't pack my day full of lots of things. Wednesdays are my no call day. Fridays are
Mm.
my thinking only day, where me and my partner go for pancakes and do a reflection ritual on, what's worked over the week, what's not worked, what lessons are we learning. So, essentially being a mum, building a business and trying to build an extraordinary life for me and my family.
I love the way that you the rhythm of your week. Is that something you've always done, or have you learnt about kind of managing your energy and your time?
No, I mean, it's definitely a work in progress and I definitely don't have it all figured out. But I think, this is my 17th year of entrepreneurship. And so I know that any folks listening who are founders, freelancers, working for themselves, it is very, very easy to fall into a spiral of overwork and burnout and stress. So I've kind of learnt the hard way and had to think really carefully about what I want the rhythm of that week to look like. I have Tuesdays and Thursdays are very business development focused. I have lots of calls working on proposals. Mondays, I like to call like Big Move Monday. So I want to do like at least one thing that feels fun and energizing and exciting on a Monday. Fridays are much more kind of reflective. And then Wednesdays is when I try and do podcasts and webinars and kind of external events. Doesn't
Right.
always stick to that plan, but that's kind of the rough ritual that I have in place.
It's good to have a plan to start with, isn't it?
Yeah.
How would you describe your relationship with yourself right now then?
My relationship with myself is the most important relationship in my life. I think for a long time it wasn't, because I'm sure, like many of your listeners, and would love to hear if this lands with you, for those of you listening in, tell us in the comments. You know, when you're a young girl, you're taught and rewarded for being really hard on yourself. We have strong inner critical voices and this kind of constant sense of never enough. So through, my work, my relationship with myself is something that I try to be really intentional about. I'm
Mm.
learning to love myself in a very practical way. So that's about, how I speak to myself, how I behave and talk to myself when I make a mistake. And,
Mm.
this is lifelong work. I don't think that'll ever be, oh, that, box is ticked and now that work is done, because we do live in a world that has a negativity bias towards women. Over 90% of all genders have a negativity bias towards women. That's a statistic from the United Nations and one that I dig into in the book. So you have to work extra hard to love yourself. And, that's my goal.
Mm. So confidence is your shtick.
Yeah.
Your main, but I feel like that can encompass everything you just talked about, I suppose, isn't it? Is having
Mhm.
confidence to, as you mentioned earlier, like take up space, um, to push for being treated equally, to decide that maybe you're not going to put up with some of the things that you just referenced. So have you always been a confident person, or why for you, why did it start with confidence? They're two separate questions. Have you always been a confident person first?
Yes. So I don't believe there is such a thing as a confident person. And that is one of the myths and the old rules that we are challenging in the book, because we've been taught that confidence is something you either have or you don't have. You're either a
Mm.
confident person or you're not. But the truth is, confidence is a practice. It ebbs and flows. It changes depending on your situation. So I have been practicing confidence through my business for 10 years. And in some areas of my life, like this situation we're in now, I feel very confident and comfortable because it's familiar and it's in the space of where my skills and talents are. However, other areas of my life, like teaching my son fractions, learning to play guitar, I have very low confidence. And that's totally normal, because confidence is not who you are or what type of person you are. It's something that you build through your action and through what you do. So the goal is never to become a confident person. The goal is to be somebody who is willing to practice confidence again and again and again. And that's why I wrote this book, to be the manual for that practice, to give people really easy, simple, accessible tools to build that practice into their day-to-day.
Mm. Tell
And
us about.
oh, sorry.
Oh, that's cool. Carry
The
on.
second question, why confidence? I think for me, confidence is the foundation of everything. It is the bridge
Mm.
between having an idea, having a thought, having an opinion, and then execution, that idea becoming real, that opinion being expressed. And you could be the most talented, skillful person in the world, but if you don't have confidence in yourself, if you don't have the confidence to advocate for yourself, to advocate for your ideas, those things are not going to be realized in their full capacity and be all the amazing things that they could be. So that's why I decided to focus on confidence. One, because I could see what a deep foundation it is to all things. And two, because I could see the intense problems with how we were talking and teaching confidence as a society at the time when I started building UpFront 10 years ago.
Mm. Tell us about the post-it moment then.
Yes, the post-it. So I like to say, my business is a global movement that was born from a post-it note in a women's toilet, which is true. And it's a brilliant story to tell. And of course, at the time, I didn't know it was going to become a brilliant story. But the very short version is I was speaking at a conference in 2016. I was the only woman on the bill. And I like to always try and follow Tina Ross Eisenberg's, who founded Swiss Miss and Creative Mornings. She talks about you're only allowed to complain 3 times and then you have to try and fix it. So
Mm.
by this point, I was just constantly moaning, annoyed, frustrated because I was speaking at all these conferences and I was the only woman there. And it was just seeing these very mediocre white men giving very below average presentations on a loop. And I guess at that time I was very naive. I believed the lie of meritocracy that, you work really hard and the best people get the best opportunities. And so at that day in Bristol, I decided to call it out in my keynote from the stage and say, where are all the women? Like, my life is full of women who should be on this
Mm.
stage. The audience is full of women. Like, what is the deal? So I put a post-it note on the women's toilet that said, do you want to be on stage one day? Tweet me. And of course, this was when Twitter was still a helpful, friendly place. So lots
Mm.
of people were tweeting me, lots of people queued up to talk to me at the end of my talk. And that was the day that I realized, okay, this is a very complex, intersectional problem. But, my background is in product design. So I am a trained designer. I'm
Mm.
trained to spot insight and patterns. And I could see this insight of people saying, people like me don't talk on stage. Like, that's just not something that I would do. And then people saying, even if I wanted to, like, how would I learn? How would I try? Like,
Mm.
and I realized that in our professional lives, when you want to learn a new skill, normally you'll go to a workshop or you'll buy a book or you'll have some sort of learning opportunity. Whereas when you want to speak on stage, then you're on stage and there's hundreds of people looking at you and you have to be good at it, which is bananas, really, when we think
Yeah.
about it. So I came up with this hypothesis called Upfront, which was, okay, when I give a keynote, I'm going to put a big red sofa on stage with me, and people with stage fright can just chill out on the sofa, let their body regulate, realize the audiences are not nasty. Awkwardness is not fatal. Like, really, the stakes are much lower than anybody realizes. And so I put it on Facebook. I think I wrote "Be Upfront" on a post-it note and stuck it to the front of my red notebook, put that on Facebook and LinkedIn and said, I've got a talk in a few weeks in London at the Silicon Beach conference. Who wants to come on stage with me? And there's like 50 people being like, me, and sending me these amazing, very heartfelt stories of
Mm.
why they just felt this opportunity was like once in a lifetime. And so we brought on some extra deck chairs and fitted some more people in. And that was the day that Upfront was born. And for a long time, for 2 years, it was just that because I was running my other business. So we would have couches on the stage with me and, I'd meet people like you and I'd be like, Tony, I see you're doing a TEDx talk. Do you want to have the upfront couch on stage with you? And you'd be like, yeah, sure. People were excited to do it. It was helping people. It was very low lift. But then, of course, as I would speak to the people who sat on the couch, some of them were like, Lauren, this has just changed everything for me. Do you have a
Mm.
book? Do you have a podcast? Do you have a workshop? And I'm like, shit, no, I'm busy doing other things. So then when I looked online as to like where to send these people, most of them were women, a lot of them were from marginalized communities. I was just so struck by the state of this space. I guess there was like Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, very American male, fake it till you make it. And there is good stuff in there, but
Mm.
as a narrative doesn't land with me. Then there was the kind of Royal Academy of Dance and Music and Breath and Yoga and Spirituality, and it's also good stuff in there, but inaccessible. So there was nothing that was starting from a place of this is a systemic issue. This is not a women's problem. This is a societal issue, and we need to teach and help women as to how to navigate this and how to change this so that our granddaughters are not having this conversation. And so that's what I started to build. And at first, it was a 1 day workshop. Then businesses got wind of what we were doing, and we started running it for businesses. And then I decided to build an online version to reach more people. And, long story short, that online version became the Bond, which is our flagship product. And we've had 17,000 graduates from over 50 countries. And we work with iconic brands like Nike and Bupa and the British Red Cross and organizations all over the world. And our product really, really works.
That's so amazing to hear. I love it. So, and I love the fact that your background is design. So
Yeah.
you see a problem and you find a solution and create the solution. And this
Yes.
has just been, yeah, what an elegant and gorgeous solution. And you must get so much. I mean, when you're not so busy, but I'm sure, do you get a lot of satisfaction from, like you talked about the graduates, like when people then go on and probably do great things, I imagine.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, and that's partly why I wanted to write the book. Lots of their stories are in this book. And, they
Mm.
can be stories of big moments like I've built a business and I've immigrated and I've finally shaved my head or got the tattoo. But there are also lots of small stories of, I used to cook a Sunday roast for my in-laws who I don't like and I'm exhausted and now I don't do that anymore. To,
Mm.
I've finally started posting on LinkedIn about my book or my work or my art to, I earn more money now. I applied for a job I would never have applied for before the Bond. So we know that our bonders earn more, they're happier, their relationships benefit, their parenting benefits. And that's back
Mm.
to your earlier question. Confidence really does touch every single part of our lives. And I think that's what makes the Bond and the book so transformative because, of course, the Bond is a 6-week learning experience, which is not accessible for everyone. So now all of the principles we teach in the Bond are in this book. And it means that people can come back to it over and over again, underline it, keep it in their pocket. Because you also need to access different tools depending on the situation you're in. That's why we have so many people come and do the Bond once, twice, 3 times, because they're like, well, I'm in a different situation now, or my job's changed, or I'm in a different relationship, or my health's in a different place, or whatever it might be.
Amazing. Well, let's dig into the book then, shall we? So,
Yes.
24 rules for life-changing confidence. And I've heard you talk about like the old rules and the new rules.
Yes.
So, what are some of the old rules? Well, I suppose we touched on it already. The idea that you are born confident, or that
Hmm.
you're either a confident person or you're not. And I think you've already shown us that's not the case. Talk to
Hmm.
us maybe some about the new rules then. Things that people might be surprised to learn about confidence or about them and their confidence.
So the new rules are about replacing those old rules with something that's more true and more useful and more human. So every chapter starts with introducing you to an old rule. Now, some of these old rules will be things that you're like, yeah, I know that I do that and I see myself in that. And others you'll have never thought about before. And that can be, quite uncomfortable, of course, because that's where change happens. And these old rules, they're like a GPS system. They are guiding your day-to-day decisions. They're guiding how you show up in the world, often without you even realizing it. So this book is bringing all them to the surface, then giving you new rules. And then at the end of each chapter, we have an upfront moment, which is giving you the strategies and the tools to put this new rule into practice. So, for example, confidence is loud is an old rule that we are
Hmm.
burning to the ground. Folks who came and were part of my book tour, we had upfront matches made specially. So we're going to really burn the old rules to the ground. The new rule is confidence comes in all volumes. The idea that we've been taught that confidence must be extrovert, confidence must be loud, is a total falsehood. And all that does is make extroverted people feel bad and make introverted people feel bad. And we live in a world that rewards extroversion. And, you know, I say this as your most extroverted Glaswegian friend. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for anyone in the world. So we take each old rule, replace it with a new rule, and those new rules are then things that you can put into practice. Like the question you asked me at the start, like, have you always been a confident person? It's like that's the old rule of confident is confidence in something that you are. The new rule is there's no finish line. That confidence is a
Mm.
practice that we are working on forever. And that can feel daunting or it can feel liberating and exciting. Because often also people say to me, oh, I'm already quite confident. I don't need your help with this. And I'm like, what? That's like saying, oh, I already earned some money. I don't want any more. It's like there's no cap on confidence. Your confidence just keeps multiplying and amplifying. And the more you have, the more you give it to the people around you because it's infectious. And
Mm.
it's it multiplies when you share it with the world. So those are some of the new rules that I really love. And when women start living by the new rules, it will change how you feel, how you show up, how you lead, the decisions you make. It'll be good.
Mm. I love that. The idea of I don't need any more confidence. I've already got it. That's brilliant. So who is this book for then? It's not necessarily just for people who need to start public speaking, for instance, or have a specific issue in mind with their confidence.
Yeah, so it's definitely for those people. But what I had in mind, so whenever I give a talk or start a bond, I always ask the room a question and I say, put your hand up if you've ever been told to be more confident. And lots of people put their hand up. And then I say,
Mm.
put your hand up if you've ever been told that you're too confident. Often, many of the hands will stay up, but everyone's hand goes up at some point. For
Mm.
me, I have been told my whole life that I am too confident and that my confidence is not right. It's intimidating, upsetting, too big, too bold, too loud, whatever that story is. And that has an equally shaming, negative, detrimental effect to all of the thousands of women I've met over the last 10 years who are told, you just need to be more confident. Because
Mm.
what that story illustrates is, and what I talk about in the book, is this: we're in a double bind. Women cannot do confidence right. We will always be punished for either being too confident or not confident enough because those labels are reflections of other people's expectations on women. And the truth is, we're not doing confidence wrong. We're just trying to follow old rules that were not built for us. Those rules were not designed with us in mind. So the book is about giving all women permission to rewrite their confidence rules to suit them and their power and their potential and their leadership.
Mm. Yeah. And is there one big takeaway then that you would hope for someone reading this book?
Yes, I think that confidence is not something you arrive at. It's not a
Mhm.
finish line. It's not a personality type. It is a practice. And you can start building confidence today exactly as you are. Not when you're more ready, not when you're more experienced, not when you're less tired, not when you've got less going on. Like
Yeah.
right now, in this moment, you can start it right now. And it will make your life better. And that is better also for all the people that you love, care about.
Yeah. Yeah, like you talked about our daughters or granddaughters not having these conversations. It's like we talk about this quite a bit in the club about modeling. Like
Mhm.
it's fine to say stuff, isn't it? But you have to be you should be you need to model the behavior that you want to encourage in the people around you.
Mhm.
And I think, like you say, it's totally infectious. Like when you're talking about this, it's like makes me feel like, yeah, I could do that. I could do anything.
You can,
It's
exactly.
amazing. Give us one upfront moment then to take away today, then, Lauren, this afternoon.
So I think the upfront moment to think about is the what your community looks like. So something we talk about in the book is this idea of believing mirrors, which Julia Cameron talks about in her incredible book, The Artist's Way. And believing mirrors are people that you have in your life who mirror and shine your potential and an
Mm.
amazingness back at you. And I mean, I used to say to my partner, like, I want to get paid for being a believing mirror. And I'm so proud of myself that I have managed to figure that out. And that it is my job now to do that at scale and
Yeah.
to teach other women how to do that. But one of the things that came up on the book tour, because I was talking a lot about the believing mirrors that I have in my life, um, was my partner Chris and my best friend Lorna. And I say that because I know that people listening are thinking there's like 25 people in a WhatsApp group, and that's not reality for most
Mm.
people. But there'll also be people listening who are like, I don't have anybody like that in my life. And I think it's really, really important that you find that person, even if it's just one person. Might be somebody in your community, Tony. It might be somebody that you meet in the comments of Substack. It might be somebody that you meet at the school gates. It doesn't matter where you find this person, but confidence grows faster when it's witnessed. And one of the really interesting things about confidence that I think we don't talk about enough is that often the people who love us the most or who are closest to us are those who find our new confidence most uncomfortable. So when you're in a space where you want to really intentionally practice being a more confident version of yourself, it can be very powerful to surround yourself by other people who are practicing it. And that's why,
Mm.
every Wednesday we have a Huddle and Bond Power Hour at Upfront. It's online, totally free, 12 o'clock every Wednesday, and you just turn up and you're in that space. There's a facilitator who guides you through some questions, and the reasons people come is because they are getting that energy and support from these people who they have actually never met and actually don't know that well because they're not getting it from their family and friends. So find your community, find your believing mirror, and be the person that you wish you had for another woman. Cheerlead, support, challenge the rules we've been given, and write your own rules.
Gorgeous. Love it. So excited. I'm so pleased we got to talk, Lauren. And
Yeah,
I'm
thank you
so
so much for
happy for this
having me.
book for you. It does really feel like this is a book version of, if you've bottled it. I feel
Yeah,
like you've bottled it, which is like the dream, isn't it, for a self help
yeah.
book? Not a self help book. Uh, is it a self help book?
I
It's
mean, it does say self. I guess I don't know why we've all got issues with that phrase, don't we? But
I
we should
know.
get we should get over
I
that. We
don't.
should get over
I'm
that.
on a mission to change that. Yeah, it's personal. It's personal growth, isn't it? That's what it
Personal
is. That's
development. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this, and thank you for being
you're
here
so
today.
welcome.
Good
Thank
luck
you for
with it
having
all.
me.
I'm glad you're
Thank
enjoying it
you.
so much. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and we'll stay in touch, and we'll see you online soon. Take care,
Bye.
Lauren. Bye, darling.